is, do we just get started and then have her join us?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so let's call the meeting to order at 7:05.
Okay.
And do you have our waving flag there?
I do.
Pledge? Okay. All right.
Is it backwards or no?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's backward.
Okay. Okay.
Hang on.
Practice.
Okay.
Okay. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag
of the
United States of America and to the
republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So this was bringing me back to my son's Cub Scout days when they would, you know, be doing the pledge in our living room and whatnot. Okay, so let's get started. Old business. We have July's action items first.
Deb?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I record this again?
No, that's fine with me.
Okay.
I mean, it's a public meeting, right?
Yeah.
You need to be able to.
Yeah.
Sure. But thank you for the reminder that we will be recorded. So, so July's action items. One of the things was schedule the board retreat, which why don't we get to that under old business in E when Sohini is here with us. The RFP ongoing. Sohini did receive the RFP, so that part of it is done. Review patron usage of print. Oh, Yvette, go ahead.
Yeah. I have some information on the RFP I wrote to Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him about any restrictions on timeline. So he said, RFPs do expire, but if you have one vendor in mind, we would work with them to see if they would hold their pricing. Most do, knowing that they are awarded the job. As for the building, the major project on the town side, because I asked him, I'm sure we'd want to coordinate with the timeline that the town is already working on with other projects. So he said, as for the building, the major project on the town side is the safety complex. We are moving forward and hope to have it on the April 2021 ballot. In my opinion, it takes a good 3 to 6 months to come up with a cost estimate on construction costs. However, and Sohini is waiting in the waiting room. Sorry. However, if the library is ready to move the project forward, I'm sure that is something that both the town council and town manager would see where we stand with the safety complex.
Okay, let's wait till Sohini comes on.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I had to jump from my office stuff and I had to go out to FedEx for the office thing and a lot of things happening. Sorry.
Don't worry, we are all volunteers and we do the best that we can, and that is no problem. Don't worry about it. Okay, so we're all here. Yvette was just going over some things about the building RFP. She was noting that we don't have RFPs do expire, but perhaps if we choose a vendor, we could get the pricing guaranteed moving forward, even if we don't proceed immediately with it. So that's something for us to consider. We do have, I think that our plan was to look at the RFP because we want to be able to give it our full attention. So
you kind
all
of
look frozen to me.
You looked frozen to me. What was the last thing you said, Deb?
Yeah, I don't know. I was just saying that I don't remember because I could have been talking for about 15 minutes now.
No.
I think it was something like you wanted to look at the RFP. Was it at the retreat to give it your full attention?
Yes, that's all I said.
Okay.
That's all I said. Thank you.
Okay.
Or in another separate meeting so that we would be able to give it our full attention. So great. Thank you, Yvette.
Okay.
Review patron usage of print. That's for September. That's like a placeholder for us to remember to do that. D, under July action items, library director to forward both versions of the appeals policy. Hopefully you received those. That's on our to-do list for tonight. Actually, we got 3 versions. We got the original, the edited with Goffstown, and then the one that Laura had worked on. each. Trustee Karen Freed will get trustee manual to Arifa to be passed on to Sohini.
All done.
Karen did that, and then it came to me in a bag that was picked up for me by my husband when he picked up my books. And so Sohini has it now.
Yes.
So she has it now.
I picked it up today, 5 o'clock. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Deb.
I don't know
dear.
what's going on with our internet. It seems to be.
You're frozen in a really
Yeah,
happy
this is not working
smile. It's
well.
great.
Oh, good, good. I don't know. I'm actually right next to my router. I'm going to put in a mesh network. Maybe that will help us. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Sorry, everyone. Okay, so I'll get Sohini the keys, but she does have the manual now. So.
The key should have been inside.
Okay, and I will follow up about board committee meetings to clarify posting or not posting. Hopefully.
Wow.
Oh, no.
The keys are not in the folder.
I'm going to switch my computer. I'm going to actually switch to my phone and see if I can get to you guys better that way.
Okay, there was no little key.
The key was in mine. So they made a copy for Sohini. They gave me the one that you dropped off. That had keys.
Dropped off too.
I got two.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I'm not sure what happened. So Sohini has one and I have one, but I have Sohini's keys. You did what you needed to do, Karen. We'll figure out the rest. I'm going to try to get onto my phone to see this meeting so it's not so choppy, hopefully. And then hopefully you all received my email. I did immediately email the municipal people. And so we do need to be posting just notice of our meetings when committees meet and our minutes. So those are both required. Okay. Anything else that I missed on the July action items? Janice.
Did you just say you sent us an email? Oh, that's from the last meeting. Okay, never mind.
Yes. That was like that night, actually. He came back with that. So that was good to know. So, we have this resource available to us. Might as well just go right to the source and see what we need to do. So, okay, let me see if I can get onto my Zoom on my phone so that I will not be breaking up constantly.
Just so I don't think I missed something. Was there something about the copier?
The copier is on old business, but it wasn't an action item. So.
Oh, okay, got it.
All right.
It's confusing when they're both action items and old business.
Okay. Is that better? Am I less choppy? Okay. Sorry. Okay. Sorry for the different technology issues, but here we are, right? Okay. Next on our agenda.
Can I just
Yes, please.
inform you an update about the keys?
Sure.
So the keys, which you'll remember, and Sohini, for your information, are 2 drawers that the different boards have. And that's, communication drawers. They are white drawers that are kind of by the hold shelf. Underneath the hold shelf, there's this whole wall, shelving, and a countertop and drawers. So when we moved the circulation desk away from that, it freed up the drawers for other usage. So instead of having the different boards, the Friends and the Development Fund Committee and the trustees have like a file, a Princeton file holder in one of the staff offices, we moved everything out of the staff offices to the drawers. We've just moved the circ desk back to that area. So those drawers are now being used by circ. So you don't need keys for anything at all. We haven't quite figured out where we're going to have the board things live yet, because we have locks on the staff doors. And that's just so that people aren't, patrons aren't walking into staff areas. We've had some problems with that. but we are going to find a better place for the communication for the boards. And, you know, it could be behind the circ desk. You know, I can find out what's in the drawers or where we can tuck something, you know, just so that you don't have to, you know, wait for someone to open the door for you, and you could just go up and get it. So we'll work on that, but you don't need the keys.
Thank you, Yvette. And I will just let you know that if you do want to say something, just unmute yourself and interrupt me, because on my phone, I'm not able to see you all, and I'm not going to waste time trying to figure it out. So we'll just, you know, keep moving forward. New computer in the future. Okay, so we went through July's action items. The RFP, so Heaney did receive a copy. We do need to discuss if we wanted to have that at, to go over that at our board retreat, which we need to schedule. Yvette, that's E on here, and you were going to let us know what the staff's comfort level was.
I have information for you.
Thank you.
So basically, one of the other things that I would like to discuss with you tonight is the next phase of the reopening plan, which very briefly, so that this next thing about the retreat is a little clearer, we are ready to open after Labor Day. And I can talk to you about details later. So with that, any Saturday would be available.
Okay.
We're closed on the 5th because that's Labor Day weekend. So really it's 12, 19, and 26. Those are the available Saturdays.
Okay, so to the best of my knowledge, I'm available any of those. I don't know if anyone has a particular conflict that they're aware of right now that they'd like to speak out on. I have no problem with just saying let's do the 12th, but does anyone have any thoughts? Janet, do you have any thoughts on a date that would work for you?
Let me grab my calendar.
Okay, yep, let's all grab our calendars and see what works for us.
I will say I have to check that just in general. So if everybody else is fine with the 12th, I will let you know as soon as I can about that. Some other things are happening that I can't predict just yet.
So, you know, if no one sees anything glaring on the 12th, we could tentatively schedule it for the 12th, knowing that life happens, COVID things, everything happens, you know. So we understand that people might have to change those plans, but we'll wait till Karen gets back with her date book. So Heaney, your thoughts on the
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay, thank you. And it would just be a couple of hours, so it's not like a full day commitment or anything. Janet, did you have a thought on the 12th?
I'm good for the 12th.
Okay. Yes, like again, it's all tentative. We understand, right? Things happen. So, Karen.
I'm good for the 12th.
Okay, so why don't we tentatively schedule the retreat for the 12th, and know that we're going to devote a part of that to going over the RFP also, so we can have a clear decision by then. Unless you know, Yvette, you really feel there's an urgency for us to look at the RFP before then. I think that with people going back to school and other things happening, I think talking about this in person is probably the better way to go. So if we can put it off till the 12th, I would prefer that. What are your thoughts, Yvette? Is that going to work, or would you like sooner?
For the RFP?
Yes.
No, I think that's fine. Retreat. What time did you want to start?
What time is the library going to be open? I don't want to inconvenience staff.
Well, I can be here anytime you want. It just depends. You know, we open at 9 o'clock. I would be here before then to make sure the room is set up, but it's when do you want to be finished?
Yeah. Would people like to meet at 8 or 8:30 so we can get in and get settled before the public comes in?
Sure.
Okay. Is 8 o'clock too early for you, Yvette?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, for me it is.
No.
What's that?
For me it is a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Trust me, it's going to be painful for me when I go back to work next week. I understand that. Yvette, so 8 o'clock would be okay with you?
It's fine with me, but
8:30?
Okay, 8:30. Let's do that. 8:30. Okay, so tentatively, we will have our board retreat and RFP review. We will do that on September 12th at 8:30. And if something comes up, people just need to let us know and we'll work around it. We'll figure something out. Janice, did you want to say something?
Oh, no, I just answered my own question, sorry.
Okay.
Well, no, where in the library, I guess?
In the clump room.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
Lowell room is still being used as quarantine, and we have a plan to move the staff break room to the other half of the Lowell room.
Great. And okay, so then that's wonderful. We've taken care of 2 things on our old business. We have the copier. Is there some news about the copier? Is this a placeholder? Janet, did you have a question about the copier, or is this like a friendly reminder for us?
I think this still had to do with like Princh, and from our last meeting, Yvette's mentioned that they couldn't locate the contract, so they were talking to Conway or asked for Conway to send them a contract. So I think that's what we were waiting for.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're waiting for them to send you a contract, correct? Okay. All right, we'll keep it on there, and we're going to be looking at Princh anyways going forward. So in September, we'll look at both of those things. Moving on to the appeals policy. You should have 3 copies of the appeals policy. I have my feelings about what I like best. Yvette, I don't know if you want to address it, or we've talked about this multiple times. So I'll just let Sahini know that the policies come up for review. The one that's the shortest version was one that the library had in place. And then Yvette brought us some modifications based on something from the Goffstown Public Library, which was quite nice. Laura liked very specific information. So she had done a draft of the policy, which really laid out point by point what was going to happen through an appeals policy. I will just let you know that my preferred one would be either the one that we already had or the one with the edits, which I think really give people an idea of the timeline for us getting back to them. So the one with the red, that would be my preferred one. I am concerned that the one that was written a couple of months ago by Laura is really super specific, and it almost seems overwhelming. If I was a person who had a concern or complaint and I saw this, I would almost feel like there was so much involved with having my voice heard and having it be addressed that it might dissuade me or make me feel like you actually did not want to hear what I had to say. Where I find this one to be the one with the red, pretty straightforward. There's a time for when we're going to deal with them. It doesn't require them to necessarily be at the meeting. Like, I just feel like it's more user friendly. So that's my preferred, but I'm open for discussion. People can tell me what their thoughts are. Karen, did you have any thoughts on the policy?
Yeah, I liked the one in red because it covered things that the original one didn't. It was very it was vague instead of it not specific at all. And I like this better because it shows the public the steps that need to be taken if you do have want to make an appeal on a decision. So I agree with you. I can't hear you.
I know. Janice, did you want to thought on this?
On the, yeah, I wanted to ask 2 questions. On the document that has a lot of the red on it, I wanted to know if a person who was not a Merrimack resident or a Merrimack Public Library card holder, would they have any recourse? I don't know if it matters, like.
They're using, well, okay.
It may not matter.
Somehow they're using the library because they would have nothing to complain about if they weren't using the library. However, I got an email, the GMILKS board got an email from the Hooksett director earlier today because someone who was not a resident of Hooksett called the director to complain about why the library wasn't open, fully open, so that now they could use it because they weren't interested in using it. They were interested in complaining and saying that, you know, we shouldn't have to wear masks entering the building should be fully open, you're infringing on my constitutional rights. So she found out that this person wasn't even a resident of that town and had no interest in using the library, had no account, didn't have a card. So, you know, she sent it to her board, you know, because it's a complaint that, you know, I mean, so I think you have to decide as a board, what kind of complaints do you want to address? Do you feel it's in your purview to address?
Yeah, I would say that for me, if there's something about staff, services, building, safety, those sorts of things that one of our residents or a card holder has concern about, we do want to hear their concern, and we certainly want to come to a resolution. Maybe they're bringing something to light that we need to know about, but we're not going to entertain things like that. That's just putting everybody in an awkward position. You know what I mean? There's nothing, that's not providing better services to our patrons, and that's not where we want to be putting our energy. Our energy is for our residents and card holders. That's my opinion. So, but I see your point.
I just, like Yvette said, I could just see somebody, you know, coming in and saying, hey, so I was curious.
I think you know, I think it's fine if you want to change it so that you'll take any and all complaints from anyone. You know, that's people complain. People like to, I mean, I don't know. People do complain.
Well,
and people feel they're entitled to complain. If a complaint comes up to the board, because we do hear that a lot, my taxes pay your salary. I want to talk to your boss. That's all it is. And at that point, we don't know if anyone's a resident or not. We, you know, we usually ask, do you have a card? Are you a resident? So we can narrow it down a little bit of who is complaining to me right now. But as a board, if a complaint from a non-resident comes up to you, then you can answer back saying, we're the library board. I mean, you know, I mean, you could come up with a script of some kind of answer for someone who's not a resident. The other part of that, to continue to play devil's advocate here, is you do have non-residents using the library because we have interlibrary loan that goes all over the state. You know, we have people who are not living in this state attending Zoom programs right now. So someone could say, I didn't like that speaker, and complain to you.
If you notice, the policy just says that in the event that a library user is dissatisfied. So it doesn't necessarily specify. It's up in the paragraph above where it says the library policies and procedures have been developed to provide fair and efficient services to our residents and card holders. So if someone is a library user and they have a concern or complaint, but in the concern that, or the complaint that you're citing, that's not really about our services. That is anger at the way the world is right now. That's nothing specifically directed at a library.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's just an ongoing situation. So I don't know. Does that answer your question, Janice?
Well, I want to follow up. So
Okay.
it may answer my second question, which is at the bottom, it says that the chair will make a determination to bring the matter to the full board or to the appropriate Board of Trustees committee. So I guess what I'm now thinking, this example that you've given is an example where you as the chair or the chairperson would say, okay, we don't really need to bring this to the board. Am I understanding that correctly? As opposed to you're the one that determines whether it comes to the board or the chair is the one.
Well, I don't know. I would think that I would want to let you know about anything that was raised that was a complaint or concern. But to me, it's a distinguishing whether it needs to go to the full board or to the appropriate trustee committee. So if someone has a complaint about, let's just throw it out, say something about the building, maybe a safety concern or complaint, I might let you guys all know, but then say, could the building committee meet to discuss that? Now, if this is not clear, we can certainly change that part of the language to say that complaints are brought before the board. So,
Well, I think that it's such a lengthy sentence that I think I read it one way, and I totally understand what you're saying now, and then reading it again, I'm like, oh, that's what it means. So that's what I just wanted clarification. I didn't want to change anything necessarily.
But I think that's also, if it's not clear, you know, we certainly want it to be clear, because I wouldn't feel comfortable dealing with a complaint like that. I would want the board's involvement. We certainly want to know that that's what's going to happen going forward, if that's our understanding of the policy. So,
I had,
Janet, what are your thoughts?
actually, I had a couple things. I guess I must have read this funny, because in the first paragraph, I got the impression that this policy was going to be an appeals process for a library user that has a problem with a policy. So if there's a problem with a policy that a user has, this is then the procedure. But then when I reread it, it was more like an action or a decision made by staff, or as it progresses up, the library director. So I was like, okay, so now it's not a policy. I mean, I was kind of confused, because I took it as, like I said, a user was going to appeal a policy that the board had and didn't like it somehow.
Can I clarify? So I've said this before, all of the policies that we have are board policies because the board approves them. So now when we're working here in the library, we're following the policies. You know, so if we have a policy, we got a lot of policies. If we have a policy that says, during the pandemic, I sent you, just before this meeting, I sent you guys the addendum to the Patron Code of Conduct Rules and Regulations that says, during the pandemic, people who wish to enter the building will wear a mask or face covering. So you agree with that policy, now we're gonna enforce it. So what people really are complaining about is the enforcing of a policy.
Okay.
Sometimes it's, you know, we have a lot of policies. So we have like a program policy. We're going to do these kind of programs, all different kinds. And if someone says, you know, I don't like that program. Well, we're allowed to do that program under our policy because we're going to do a bunch of different kinds of programs. But if someone says, I don't like it, then they're going to complain to the librarian who did it. They don't like their answer. It's going to come to me. What we do is we point back to the policy. You know, we always point back to the policy. So, and then it's just a matter of them hearing the policy again from the staff, then from me, and then I send it up to you. And in a perfect world, you point back to your own policy, you know, and say, no, this is, you know, this is why we are doing a program on Ask a Muslim Anything, you know, to inform people. You know, I mean, that's really, that's what it is. So, but we always point back to a policy. That's what we always do, because that's why they exist, so that we could let people use the library and people aren't, you know, drawing on the wall. There's a policy about please don't draw on the wall, you know, no vandalism. So, I mean, that's our practical thing, is what we're doing is we're pointing back to the policy.
Okay.
Okay.
So, okay. Thank you for the clarification. That makes a lot more sense. And then in the second, in the second paragraph, well, first of all, I'm looking at the one, obviously, with the red. That's the one that I focused on. The second, the sentence, the grievance must be made within 14 days of the action or decision, and it must be made in writing. Who's that going to? And
that goes to me.
So then I would put that as like in writing to the director.
Okay, because that was the previous sentence. I can change it if it's not clear.
Yeah.
They may appeal the decision to the library director. The grievance must be read in writing. That grievance that they're going to take to the library director.
Okay.
I mean, I can combine the sentence, maybe?
No, I just, like I said, I was thinking different things. So Yeah, okay. But then, okay, the library's request for reconsideration of library resources form, what
Maybe.
is that?
It's on our website.
Okay.
So we created that if someone says, I don't like this book, I don't like this movie, it's a thing, and we put programming presenters under that. So that's when someone is actually saying, why do you have this smut in the library? and then you have to fill out the form about the smut, you know, or perceived smut, where there's a whole list of questions. You know, what exactly is your complaint about this thing? Have you read the whole thing? Do you see the context of the complaint you have in the thing? You know, I've dealt with my share of complaints about books, children's books, and a lot of times it's an anonymous, you know, I don't like this. People will throw a handwritten note in something or verbally say it when they return an item, and that I can't follow up on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to know why you don't like this thing. Please tell me. You know, it may not be removed from the collection, but I can't even follow up on it if I don't know who's complaining.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had a complaint about a Maurice Sendak book in the Night Kitchen because the character is nude. Okay, I mean, is it gratuitous nudity? No. Does it go with the story? Sure. Is it an award-winning kind of, you know, yes. You know, so there are merits to, so that's what the reconsideration form does, is kind of examine, are there merits to this thing, or have the staff really gone off on the deep end and collected something that was absolutely ridiculous that our patrons are never going to check out? You know, we want to buy things that people want to look at and check out. So, but that's that form, and it is on the website if you want to look at that. You'll be seeing that over the course of the year, that form as well, and department heads will review that, you know, along with the process of reviewing all your policies.
Janet, did you have another concern?
I did, and it's the section that Janice was actually talking about. Given that with the committees, I guess I just didn't see the need to have a committee. I mean, bring it to the board, and the board just would bring it to, bring it to the chair and then just bring it to the board. So
That's fine.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
getting very confusing for me. Like, if it goes to a committee, then the committee brings it to the board if they think it should go to the board. And I feel like I'm going around in like a loop that I can't get myself out of.
I don't know how many trustees Goffstown has, but probably for a larger library that has many,
Yeah.
you know, a large board, it might make sense.
So why don't
we can cut that if you want.
Yeah. Let's get rid of any reference to bringing it to the committees.
Yep.
So Heaney, what are your questions or concerns or comments?
I agree with that, getting rid of the committee, because we are only 5 of us. So I think adding one more committee for this kind of reasons, it doesn't make sense. It's just complaint against something which might come. I don't know how many you give it for a month or weekly basis on, does the library get too much? Too
Complaints?
many? Yes. Like, which
I don't
has to come to the
I don't want to
board.
jinx myself.
No, like, which has to be coming to the board.
It's okay. I don't want to jinx myself.
Yeah.
Maybe once a year, twice a year.
Yeah.
It might
So
go
I
all the
think-
way up to the board. A lot of times, like I said, it's an anonymous kind of comment from a patron. Even that's more rare, but it happens. And maybe that's 5 times a year. You know.
Yeah, as a library patron earlier, I didn't find anything to be complaining about, so I don't realize what's there to complain. But anyways, people have their views. Yeah, I would say don't make a committee. It's just
Okay.
Bring it to the board. If it's once or twice a year, why to have a committee? Yeah.
So would people feel comfortable approving this policy if we got rid of the Board of Trustees committee and just said that the chair of the Board of Trustees will bring the complaint to the full board for consideration? review and action.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it'll say that red part will say the chair of the Board of Trustees will bring the matter to the full board or to the board for its consideration, review, and action.
Yep.
So I have one question,
Sure.
which is, the board will notify the member of the public within 7 days of the board's final decision. So there will be no appeal process from the board's final decision, I hope. We need to put that in there somewhere. Otherwise, if it goes to like somewhere, if we are dragged to court, then it can be. Maybe it will be one of the rarest thing, but
Should we say like all decisions of the board are final? I don't know. If
yeah,
that's...
only for this aspect, like, you know, the complaint part.
Yeah, you have to have an end point. At some,
Yeah.
Well, there's
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It does say the board's final decision. So that's like, but do you think we should say that? I don't know, Yvette, what are your thoughts given what you know about the policies and appeals policies and whatnot?
Well, I'm thinking back into my experience. So in my experience, we had a patron who was banned from the library, and then the board changed.
Mm-hmm.
And the patron came back and appealed the banishment to the new board members.
Yeah,
And the new board configuration upheld, they came to the same conclusion saying, no, you've lost your privileges. You know, but I mean, I think I think in an appeal of a final decision, because this is not a lifetime commitment for any of us, really, any of you, this might be a little too detailed here or in the weeds about, you know, a decision could be appealed and brought to a different board, and then the decision of a previous board. I mean, things change, people change, you know, interpretations of things change. The library always wants to be changing and moving and growing and stuff. So I think if there were an outdated decision, that would be the case in which an appeal could come to a different board for a better decision.
Okay. So, and I also think that most people want to have their complaints heard and understood, and people want to understand where they're coming from. So, I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with just saying it would be the board's final decision as it is. I also, you know, we are also community members, so we want the language to be, you know, as friendly as possible with our patrons. So I don't know, does anyone have any other thoughts? I don't want to, it's hard for me to see if people are making faces or whatnot. So is there anyone who'd like to speak to this?
I have one more comment. Whenever the 14 days or 7 days, some of them had the number in parentheses and some of them didn't. So I guess that's just a grammar thing.
Okay.
Or consistency. So.
Oh yeah, okay. Got it.
So we've been going over this for quite a few months at this point, and I'd like to kind of, you know, nail it down. So knowing that things are always open for review, as we just discussed, so there can always be further discussion. But for the time being, I would like to make a motion that we accept the appeals process policy with the changes that remove any mention of committees and with the addition of numbers in addition to the words for the numbers. So
I have one more.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So it says anything within 14 days and 7 days. Is it business days or calendar days?
I think, you know, as a board, you should consider what's reasonable to get back to people. And then it's any number you want. And it can be business day. I mean, you know, what's reasonable. You know, we had in the original it was 14 days and 7 days. I have no idea why the board in 2011 picked those dates. You're a different board, so you could think about your work schedules, or, you know, needing to call an emergency meeting to discuss an appeal.
Well, it does say though that the, let's see. Here it says that with the board will review the request within 30 days from receipt by the chair. So we still have a month after the complaint has been received to review it.
Yeah, but again, if you look into the library aspect, or if the librarian has to get it, is it the director has to get it? Does it wait within 14 days or 7 days? Because we don't want to leave any grievance that, you know, I gave it on the 1st, I want to know what happened after 14 days. Whether the director is, so if the director is working only Monday through Friday, then
I'm not.
this is, no, I'm just saying, like, you know,
Yeah.
work days. It's whether it will be a business day or, because
Well,
the library is open 7 days a week.
We have every day
During
is a
the
business
summer.
day for
Yeah,
us. So
yes. No, again, summer and winter months, there's a difference. So,
I would say business days.
yeah.
I would just say days. I feel like it's complicating things, but that's me. Has it ever been a problem getting things 14 days or 7 days? I don't know. I feel like we're.
Well,
No.
if you say business days and the library potentially is open the entire week, that's still business days. So it could be business days, or it could just say days. It's still, the library, except for the summer, is open every day.
The thing is, we all know that if Yvette gets a complaint, she's going to let us know as soon as possible if it needs to come to us. So I mean, I don't know. I doubt that someone will be like, oh, I had 14 days, but that really means 8 because of the weekends. Like I really do hear most complaints within the first few days or week of an incident or something. So I don't know. If you want to change it to business, we can. I don't think it's necessary because I don't even know that applies anymore. Businesses are open all the time, not just libraries. So I don't know. Thoughts? I'd like to just get this passed. So we need to have it done.
So
So
can I read a version of the motion, if this
Sure.
makes sense?
Yeah.
You're moving to accept the Merrimack Public Library appeals process policy with discussed edits.
mhm.
Instead of,
Sure.
because if I try to document
Yep.
what the edits are, I'm going to be writing a very long motion.
And would people like one of those edits to be business days? If that's what the majority would like, that's fine with me. We can say business days. Janet, would you like to say business days?
Yes.
Okay, Janet said yes. Bikini brought it forward, so I'm going to say she said yes, but if you changed your mind, you can let us know. I have no strong feelings about that. Karen, do you have any strong feelings about this?
No,
Okay, you'd be fine with business days?
whatever.
I love it. Yeah,
I think that the director would get it to us very quickly if she felt that she needed to. So I don't think it really, anything is fine.
okay, and Janice, business days okay with you?
Yes.
Okay, so that will be one of the edits.
Can I? Hi, this is Yvette. Can I say that we don't use the word business, because then it is really, it's so much easier to just say 7, because most of the time we're open 7 days. It's
Yep.
just for a short amount of time they're open 6.
Yep.
So I think in terms of how we can interpret it, the policy of, man, just turn it around fast, you know, rather than having maybe the staff say, but right now it's 6 days.
Okay, so let's do.
Because
7
we're just open. I mean, not right now, but you know, I think it's just easier to just say business days, because that's how we think is 7 days. I think someone outside of the library thinks of business days as Monday through Friday, which is not what we do.
Right. Okay. So 7 days.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so-
mean, it's the urgency of getting it to the board and turning it around.
Mhm.
That's,
Yep.
I think that's clear, and I think that's what needs to be clear.
All right, so then my motion is that we accept this policy with the edits of removing committee and fixing the numbers.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Do I have a second for this motion?
I'll second.
Okay.
Janice. Okay, we have to do a roll call vote. So I'm going to vote yes. Janice?
Yes.
Sohini?
Yes.
Thank you. Janet?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Okay, great. This policy passes 5-0. Okay. All right. Moving on. Well, that was the old business. Let's get to new business. One of the things that you would have received was the list of addresses that Yvette sent out. And Sohini, as a new board member, I just wanted to just put your attention to where it says to reach the staff. So as a trustee, if we have anything that we need to talk about with a particular staff member, we always go through Yvette so that she's aware of what's happening. So for instance, if I have a question for Joanne about something or Arifa, I might say to Yvette, I have this question for Joanne, can you pass it along to her or would you like me to do it? So we just try to use Yvette sort of as the point person for any interactions with the staff. One of the things she said, which I'm very aware of, is that now we are trustees. So, you know, something that we say to the staff about something might be taken differently. So we want to make sure that it's always coming through her. So does anyone have anything to add to that? Okay, except for compliments. We always give them compliments, right? Because we love their services. So that's good. Okay. Any new business to come before us?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, I know it's going to come up in the director's report about the reopening, but I thought that was like huge new business. But maybe I know I'm probably splitting hairs.
Yvette, would you like to address the reopening?
Sure.
Now?
I just put it in the director's report so I could track it month to month. That's
Right,
all.
right.
Okay, so do you want the whole director's report or just the opening part?
We do the reopening part.
Okay.
And then
Okay, so that's on the page 1 of my director's report. I put a yellow highlight. So basically what we are thinking would work is to keep the hours we have right now, which is 10 to 7, Monday through Thursday. Friday is 10 to 5, and then Saturday is 9 to 1. I am not recommending that we open Sundays at this point. We would normally, under normal conditions, open the Sunday after Labor Day, and that would be the book sale day, usually. And we don't have the staffing resources to open until 9 o'clock yet. So it didn't make sense to throw another weekend in. For the scheduling, we would have to have the staff work every Saturday and every Saturday. I mean, it gets very complicated when you start to look at how you're stretching a certain amount of hours in a schedule over another day. So simplest thing is just, let's start with just opening to the public rather than throwing a Sunday into the mix. So we would do alternate days with curbside Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then have the building closed to the public like we are now, and then open to the public Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And we're not going to restrict the shelves. People can browse the shelves, new stuff, use the computers. We are going to limit the number of people we have in the building and have at least 50% capacity of the building. Children's Room is working on their own opening timeline. At this point, they're not as far ahead on procedures of once someone comes into the room, a patron, once they come into the room, they're still finalizing that. So we might open the main floor first and then the children's room after that. They just want to plan the scenarios so that it's workable. Meeting rooms would remain closed. We are removing seating. We're still going under the guidelines of limiting kind of loitering, hanging out. And meeting rooms would be another phase of opening, you know, once we can have more people gather and, you know, probably do priority to, you know, library meetings first, you know, like having the trustees retreat is a great start, you know, and then maybe having the friends meet in the building and see how that goes. Have, you know, the development fund meet in the building. And then really slowly start to open up depending on what the cases are like. Can we have the public, you know, meeting kind of like they used to? We would open up programs, you know, before that. I mean, we would really kind of stagger and prioritize these things so we can have some control and watch how it goes. Let's see, yeah. Remove the study tables, carols, provide hand sanitizing station at the entrance and masks. If patrons do not already have their own, staff will be stationed at the door in the first few weeks to greet patrons and explain the new procedures. Plexiglass barriers will be installed at the staff desks and cleaning high-touch areas will continue during the public hours. We didn't think we needed to close to wipe down surfaces. It's not like we're running a vacuum, which is very distracting. So, you know, we spent a lot of time running through a lot of different scenarios and pros and cons. And I think we just felt that, you know, we'd rather open as much as we can, as fully as we can, and let people have the access to the materials that they want, and then just limit the number of people. You know, we were kind of estimating how long does a library visit take. And that's really hard to estimate because that's one way to track how long, you know, how people are in the building. Some libraries are doing visiting the building by appointment. We ran through that scenario and it got really complicated. So it was just like, let's just open the building and count people. You know, if we have no soft seating, then someone who might stay in the library for 6 hours or 8 hours will not be able to do that. They won't have seating. They're welcome to sit outside for 6 or 8 hours. That's fine. And then the computers were going to have to watch and see what's the demand. You know, years ago we had computer use limited to an hour and you signed up on a clipboard. You know, and right now we don't have the clipboard anymore, but we were, you know, just kind of monitoring to see was there someone who wanted a computer and then ask the person to kind of finish up what they were doing. We also still have the laptops. So we're just going to watch that and not, we don't want to really send too many messages of restricting. It wouldn't make the visit to the library as pleasant as we want it to be. So that's that's the plan. Any questions about the plan?
Yes. What are your questions? It sounds great to me. It sounds well thought out. Who has questions or concerns for that?
Oh, so many questions. Great.
Janet, go ahead.
Restroom usage.
Sorry, Deb.
We are still figuring out the detail of the restrooms. They're going to be open. I'm not sure how they're going to be open. I have a staff survey going out to the staff. I always send out like a news and notes, very, very little newsletter to the staff on Friday afternoon. And one of them is polling the staff. That's what we thought would be the best thing. There's 6 different scenarios for the bathrooms. If you'd like to know them, I can tell them to you in great detail. So basically we can do nothing. Just open them, they're used as they're used. as they used to be. Or some libraries are designating one bathroom if they have more than one bathroom. They're designating one as staff and one as patrons. Or I think they stay the same. I'd have to honestly look at my little poll here because there's 6. Here we go. Let's see what it says. Okay. Leave access to the restrooms exactly as it was before. Open, there we go. Open for staff and public to share, and the restrooms can be cleaned once daily. Or leave access to the restrooms exactly as it was before, open for staff and public to share. The restrooms will have to be closed for cleaning several times during our operating hours. On weekends, when Jared isn't scheduled, other staff will have to monitor clean the restrooms on whatever schedule is determined. Or limit access to both restrooms by locking the doors. A staff person will monitor the use of the restrooms, unlock the doors, and then clean commonly touched areas after each use of the restroom. Or limit access to both restrooms by locking the doors, only one person family in the restroom at a time. The public will have to ask for a key at the public desk. The key for the staff will be made available in one of the lower area staff rooms. Or remove the gender assignments from both restrooms doors, assign one restroom for staff, one for public. The public restroom will be locked and they will have to ask for a key at the public desk. The staff restroom would be kept locked and a key made available in one of the lower staff rooms. Or same as that, except the public restroom is left unlocked and signage will encourage the public to lock the door when they use the restroom. Basically, people have to use the bathroom. I mean, it seems, it doesn't make sense to any of us to say, sorry, you have to run across the street to the mobile. So we're gonna open the bathroom. A lot of it is, the cleaning part is a little, we haven't decided who's in charge of that in terms of the monitoring of the bathroom, and who's going to wipe it down after. So we have to figure that out. Oh, Deb, you're on mute.
I know, you know what, and I'm gonna actually, my phone is dying. I'm having like really bad tech mojo right now. And so I'm just gonna say that it doesn't sound like there's a definitive answer right now about the restrooms, that there's a lot.
They'll be open.
Okay. Does someone else have a question while I get on another device in my house?
Yeah. Janice, you go ahead.
Oh, what's 50% capacity? How many people is that?
Hang on. I have many papers. Hold, please. Okay. So for the children's room, 50% is 12. That includes staff. For the main service floor, that's 22, including staff. And then the Henderson room is like, we're including the teen area and this little area before Lowell outside of my office is 12.
Would you repeat the main floor one, not the one after the children's room?
22.
22.
So potentially, if all of those were being used, you'd have just under 50 people, right?
Yes. So
yeah, or close. I was just curious because I was hoping that it wasn't a lot of people because I'm really nervous personally.
Yes. So we're still having conversations about this as well, because it's fine to get the number of what the actual capacity, what are the occupancy limits according to the fire department, and we can split that into, in half and get, 12 people in the children's room, but those are limits for the fire department. That's in case of an emergency and everyone has to exit the building because of a fire. For occupancy. That's not occupancy in the time of a pandemic when we have to spread people out. So I was talking to Kathy this week, and I said, she's not comfortable with 12, actually. She would rather see 8 to 10. And I said, that's fine. I think let's just be a little more flexible about this, because if we have 2 families come in, we could get to 10 or 12 very quickly. Including the staff already there. they're rearranging the desks and the work area right now to see how can we space the staff, and very complicated, it's just procedural, we'll be fine. But, you know, they also have a certain amount of comfort level, you know, do we ever actually have 12 people in the children's room? Well, you know, we might have 50 in the children's room before or after a program,
Right.
you know, but they're in there and then they go into the clump room, which can have 80. You know, so it's like a holding place for a few minutes, and then they go into the other room. But on a non-program time, people are coming in, they're browsing, they're checking out stuff. So there's more of an in and out of how many people, you know. So, you know, they're going to be watching. I mean, it's going to be a lot of watching, watching where people are in the room and what they're doing. There will not be computers to play at. There will not be a make and take table. You know, soft seating is being removed there too. So it's kind of, for the children's room, you come in and you get your books and you pick up a make and take, you know, to take. So we may not get to 12, you know, but they're also concerned with having too many people too close together in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to watch, you know.
That's it.
Any other questions or concerns for Yvette? Sohini, did you have one?
Yes, so you're saying that somebody will be at the door to count the heads?
Yeah.
If they're coming in. So there will be, so if there are more than the people, they have to wait outside, like how we wait in the stores nowadays sometimes. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one. Number two is, are you putting the computer desks away from each other? Like, because they were all staggered in the, all together in the middle, in the center of the first floor.
The patron computers?
The patron computers.
Yeah. They're going to be distant. We'll have every other, Max was saying, and that's something that, you know, Jared is going to be working on in the next couple of weeks. We came up with this plan, you know, at our last department heads meeting, before I sent the packets out. So it won't be a problem to space out the carols and the computers.
But it's also computer by appointment. You'll have more control over it, if I'm reading that correctly. Like in your report says, computer use by appointment, browsing OpenStax, and then you have control if, you know, 5 people are coming in to use the computer, you know that already.
Yeah, right now he has a laptop schedule when people are using the laptop by appointment. He's got an appointment set up for notary or helping with a tech device. So it's just going to roll into that same spreadsheet that he has.
You addressed the masks, which was something that you sent to us.
Right.
Also,
so, yeah, I think along with that, you know, voting to allow us to move to the next phase is to add an addendum to the rules and regulations, which is the patron code of conduct policy, which is mandating the use of a mask. That was something that our town attorney had said, yes, we can do this as long as there's a, you know, a state of emergency in New Hampshire about COVID. Also the town hall doors, both doors on both entrances have signs posted outside of the door that to enter you're required to get a mask. If you don't have a mask, please see the attendant. They don't have the attendant there. I don't think they have the attendant there anymore. I don't see the attendant there. But also, you know, there's a very long poster when you go to the finance side. And so we're just going to be doing the same thing that town hall is doing. And I think that our residents are already used to is, you know, when you enter a town building, masks are required. And, you know, we will have hand sanitizer provided. We received a box of disposable masks from finance yesterday, and I want to say there's like 2,500 masks in this box. It's a lot. but we can provide them.
Well, and I also like that on your addendum, it says that if a person refuses, the library will make accommodations to provide library services outside the building or remotely. So we're not saying you won't get services. You will not get services in the building. You'll have to use curbside or remote. Like there's just, yeah. So I think that's
The laptop outside.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's something libraries in New Hampshire that have opened before us have already dealt with this, and so we're kind of benefiting from waiting and saying, okay, you know, there's one library, and I can't think of where it is, that has a patron computer set up in the vestibule, and so they can't come in the building, but here I'll let you be out of the weather, you know, and be in the vestibule. I hope we don't have to get to that. And I'm putting I will, but I hope I don't have to get to that. So yeah, other libraries that are ahead of us, we're benefiting from their experience, absolutely. So this was the recommendation that came through the New Hampshire Library Listserv, and I realized, oh gosh, you know, we're going to have you approve this so that we can move forward and be ready.
Janice, did you want to say something?
Yeah, this is well, hopefully my last question. Is this referring to stage 5 or stage 6?
It's actually still 6. We would move into 6. The numbers after 6 might change. You know, that's what we found out. They might be many numbers between 6 and whenever we open without any restrictions at all. But this is 6.
So I have a copy of a phase reopening plan. Maybe it was a draft.
It was probably an earlier one.
Okay, because I was confused because I was like, wait, are we stage 5, stage 6? Where are we with this? Okay.
I mean, I just changed the details as I see we need to break things into smaller bites, you know.
Well, like some of them have numbers attached to them.
Yeah.
Like one of them says 75 to 100, but I get it. Stuff changes as we go along.
We're not doing that. I don't, yeah, I mean, I can send out the most recent one with this change, but I think it's still following the general idea of slow, slow and careful. You know, like children's room might open separate, and that's, I have it in one version. My version that I work off of that's kind of live is 6A, 6B. You know, I just break the big steps. I'm trying to not break them into too many little steps so that I can't track it, but it's the basic thing is we start offering additional services in the building, and then as many steps as that takes, you know, to get everything open, you know.
Great. Are there any other concerns or discussion items before we decide on our vote for this? No?
We have 2 votes, one about reopening and one about the addendum.
Yep. So I will make a motion that we vote to accept moving into the phase 6 preparation for after Labor Day. Or I guess it's just, is it phase 6 prep or is it phase 6, Yvette?
It's phase 6. That's what we have to do to get there.
Okay.
I still have, we haven't moved the furniture yet.
Okay.
The soft seating has to be removed to clump room. That's happening. But we're not going to do it until you say we can do it.
Yes.
So.
Okay. So then my motion is to vote to accept that we move to phase 6 reopening for after Labor Day.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion before we vote? Okay, we need to do a roll call. I'm going to say yes. Karen?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Janice?
No.
You said no?
I said no.
No? Okay. And Sohini?
Yes.
Okay, so that is 4-1-0. So then we need to vote on the addendum to the patron code of conduct. Is that the correct wording, Yvette?
Yeah, I mean, the policy used to be called code of conduct, and then we changed it And I think one of the other department heads wanted it to be called rules and regulations. I personally prefer code of conduct and still use that. It's probably rules and regulations, but you will see the patron. You'll see it later during the year, and we can change the name of everything then. But
Okay. So I would like to make a motion that we vote to accept the addendum regarding COVID-19, and that it be added to our rules and regulations for patrons.
Would you say that one more time, Deb?
Sure, I'm going to make a motion that we accept the addendum regarding COVID-19 that would be added to the patron rules and regulations.
We have to specifically say anything about masks, or doesn't
I
matter?
think that's what's in the addendum.
Okay.
So is there any, well, I don't even have a second, so I'll just leave it right there.
I'll second.
Dan is seconded, thank you. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, I'm going to start the roll call vote then. I vote yes. Janet,
Yes.
Sohini,
Yes.
Janice,
Yes.
Karen.
Yes.
Okay, great.
All right, Deb, I'm going to be a real pain.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to say it one more time for me.
The motion was that we vote to accept the addendum regarding COVID-19 and that it be added to the patron rules and regulations.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that was our new business under reopening. Was there anything else for new business? So we're moving on to operating budget.
Well, there were other things in the director's report.
Well, we were going to go back to the director's report afterwards. We're going to move through the rest. We just moved that item up to the,
Oh, okay.
it was so important. So don't worry, we'll get there, and we're not going to forget the treasurer's report either this time.
Hey.
So is there anything for the general letter and invoice manifest? Does anyone have any questions or concerns? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to the director's report.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was going through my notes. Are you still labeling purchases as COVID? Is that still being done?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? I don't want to rush us through it. Okay, director's report.
okay. Okay. We received a gift of a book called Troubled Water, What's Wrong with What We Drink by Seth M. Siegel, donated by Lorraine Allen, Merrimack Citizens for Clean Water. Would you like to vote to accept this?
Okay, I'll make a motion. Oh, Karen, please.
I move we accept the book Troubled Water, What's Wrong with What We Drink by Seth Siegel, donated by Laureen Allen, who is in the Merrimack Citizens for Clean Water.
I'll second that motion. I will vote yes. Janet,
Yes.
Sohini,
Yes.
Janice,
Yes.
and Karen.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to go through and touch upon the highlighted items. If you have any questions about anything else, let me know. But I wanted to remember things to bring to you. So under administration, I was contacted by an attorney regarding a substantial potential donation from Barry Quimby's family. At this point, we don't have any details, but we're very grateful to the Quimby family for letting us honor Barry's memory in this way. Next item, the granite sign. So David Brooks called and left me a message that he received the letter I dropped off, but he is not sure how to get more information to me. and drop it off at the library or to mail it to me. So I left him a message and said, no, we're in the building and you can mail it or drop it off, make an appointment. And then I wrote him another letter outlining the different ways he could get me more information through the mail or making an appointment through curbside when I'm in the building, and he could drop it off with me. But and then I thought maybe I'll drive by the house and drop off this other letter. And the day I went to do that, there was road construction in front of his house. So I popped it in the mail. I haven't heard from him again. That was last week. So I decided to share with you the other quote that I got. I did contact 3 other vendors, but only heard back from one of this new batch of vendors. Swenson Granite in Amherst does this kind of work, and their cost for the project is $2,440, requiring a 50% deposit and 4 to 6 weeks out to produce. So that's the update on the granite sign.
I'm going to come back to the, maybe at some point we're going to need to decide, is there some other way we wanted to commemorate the 125 years of being a library? It seems like this is getting very complicated to get a granite sign.
Yeah, I also think that the timing, because of COVID, isn't helping either.
We approved money, maybe we could put it to some other use.
This was an action of the board before I was on it, before Sohini was on it. So I really don't have any great sentiments about this either way. I understand why you wanted to do it. So I will follow your lead. Board members who were there for the vote and knew what the intention was, who probably didn't anticipate it would take 2 years. So if there's something that you would like to do moving forward, do you want us to move forward with it? Do you want to table it? Do you want to like just say no longer? I mean, I just feel like this has been going on for a while, right? So thoughts, comments, Janet, Janice, Karen.
I mean, I still like the idea, but it seems like at this point, could the money be being used for something that would still say the library board of trustees is acknowledging the library's 125 years, and, you know, put the money somewhere else? I don't know, buy some books or put a plaque in the hallway, or just like you said, table it. It would be nice to have a sign.
I'd like to table it. I'd still like to have the granite sign. I know several people have told me that they don't even know that that building is the library when they're coming up DW, going north on DW. So I would table it.
So you'd still like there to be a sign?
I still would like there to be a sign.
So we'll still just wait and see if we hear back from David Brooks. Is that the intention?
I don't know. This quote is like an extra about $1,000 more than what the previous quote was that we had from David Brooks. So,
okay.
So
you want to just keep it on our...
Opinion, Yvette?
I'm sorry?
Do you have an opinion about the sign?
Yes, I do. You know me.
What would that be, just for reference purposes?
Well, you know, I agree with Janet that people don't know this is the library building because there's no sign on that corner.
Yep.
I've heard that from patrons very recently, pre-COVID. And I think that was the discussion, you know, at the time where, you know, the other town buildings were having granite signs installed, and it was like, oh, hey, that's a great idea. We should get one too because nobody knows this is the library building. And then we took a little detour to talk about the electronic sign, and to, you know, coordinate with the garden club, which is, you know, a seasonal thing, so that we wouldn't really disturb these historic plantings that have been done by the garden club over many years. So, and then, you know, the new building and, you know, renovation of a building, that was another little detour about, wow, should we even put a granite sign in if we're going to be doing something different to the building? So there's been a lot of pauses in this. I think people don't know that this is the library building. That's one thing. And I think if I can't get a hold of a vendor, I'm not confident working with them, because then I can't get a hold of them during a project.
Yeah.
And that's a red flag. So I think if it's worth closing this deal and moving forward and never talking about a granite sign again, I would go with Swenson and get it done and not think about it anymore. And then people would know it's the library building. You know, that was the goal, is labeling the building, because it says Lowell Memorial Library on the door, you know, on the thing above by the roof.
Did you let them know that what we wanted though originally was for it to match the town halls? And
I sent them the drawing.
oh, okay.
So Janet, or anyone who knows, how much money was voted on and set aside for this? 1,440 or what? 1,500?
1,500.
1,500.
And the quote was actually for less than that.
Mm-hmm. So is 2,440 all encompassing? It's like creation, installation.
They don't dig the hole.
Mm-hmm.
We would need to get the town. I mean, I think that might be an easy thing to do.
But they install it?
That's very interesting.
Hang on. It's a 4 foot 10-inch by 2 foot 4 inches by 0.2 inches thick sign, thermal front, top and bottom, sawn ends and back, with 2 7-inch by 7-inch by 7-inch thermal, 2 rock, 2 posts, with a 2-inch by 2-inch knot cutouts for the sign to fit into, see attached for additional notes. But that was the original drawing. The owner, the store manager said, this is something we do at Swenson often. We do not do any of the prep work, hole digging, etc. But we can install inter-prepared areas with our crane truck. We can recommend local contractors that we've worked with on similar projects in the past, as well that can do any prep needed. I mean, I would reach out to Kyle about prepping, because it's town property. I mean, it's the town grounds, and they've done the book drop. I mean, they've done things around the campus, you know, the parking lot and that kind of thing. So I would just reach out to Kyle for the prep.
In the interest of time, should we maybe take this to the retreat and see if we want to appropriate more money or give more money?
Actually, I'm kind of following you, Janice, because it sounds like that $2,400 would be the creation of the sign, but unless the town does all the other prep work as well as all the installation, there might be an additional cost.
So Yvette, could you ask Kyle if that's something they can do? Or were you willing to commit to doing for us? And then we can make a decision based on that. I am with you. If we're going to move forward, I'd like to use a vendor that we've had contact with, somebody that we know we can go to if there's a problem. And I don't think it's uncommon for them not to dig the posts. I think that's kind of the way it goes. So if we know for sure that DPW is willing and able to do that for us, then we'll know we don't have that cost. Otherwise, we'd need to see what the additional cost would be and decide if it's worth it or not. So is that okay with everybody if Yvette gets that information to us, and then we can make a decision one way or the other?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Dan, does that work for you?
Yes.
Okay. Suhini, good?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good.
See, when we're in person, you can look around a room and get the sense of what people are thinking. It's so much harder in the Zoom context. Okay. Yvette, are there other important items in your
Okay, let me see.
Everything is important, of course.
Oh, so an update on the Granite Steps. That was another project. Northern Lights has the project tentatively scheduled for 6 to 8 weeks out from like last week, the date of this writing. COVID slowed everything down for them too. Highlights from circulation, our curbside pickup program has more than 746 active patrons as of August 10th. The number of checked out items or checkout transactions here between July 1st and August 10th is 10,552 items. This time last year when we were open for normal business, it was double that. The ILL delivery is going to start up soon. The delivery van from the state library has started to make the rounds of all the libraries in New Hampshire to pick up items that were kind of on hold at each other library, and they're going to just start fresh because some of the holds, you know, they've all expired. Do patrons still want this stuff? It's much easier for them if they you know, send the van around, collect everything up, bring it back to the state library, send everything back to the home libraries, and start over. So that's going to take a couple of weeks to be able to start over again. But the van's already started to move around the state and pick up items. And we're all very excited about that. Arifa attended the Library Development Fund Committee meeting, and she's moving forward with their wishes to order the bricks from a quarry in Hudson and get the Memorial Bricks project moving again. This is to install the already engraved bricks that are in storage into the ground here at the library in the dirt space between the building and the sidewalk. And also to engrave things that had been ordered years ago and just kind of finish up that part of that project. So that's something, she was the point person on that. We've started doing notary public services again outside. We have a plastic divider that the staff carries out with them. Masks are required, and we just kind of pass papers around the plexiglass. Summer reading ended on August 12th with the big concert. I will have more, you know, full statistics next month once everything is done and tallied up. We had a wonderful visit with Catherine Arden. This was a virtual author visit the Children's Youth Services did, and it was great. Gibson's Bookstore sold copies of her book. For technical services update, we've suspended the limitations on our 7-day books. These are popular items that patrons can only check out for 7 days, but we've suspended that restriction. So they can just check out for 2 weeks. Update from the town manager has enacted a temporary employee COVID-19 travel and quarantine policy, and the staff COVID status form has been updated to reflect this, and I've attached that memo from the town manager and also the COVID guidelines from the New Hampshire Department of Public Health and the form that we would submit to Sharon in personnel in the town. And then I guess the last update is just, you know, maybe Janet, you could talk about this more. The town audit happened and you were communicating with Paul about different documents he wanted, and that came in after this report went out.
Yep. Yes. Paul asked for documents about, he wanted essentially the DCU statements for the year, as well as because we moved money from DCU to Fidelity, sent him the statements, from Fidelity so he could follow that. And then he had some questions because certain checks hadn't cleared. He asked for the June 30th reconciliation for fines and special, as well as the profit and loss statements, so he can just track some things. So that's what he asked for. We got that information to him, and I told him if he needed anything else just to contact me, and he didn't. So that must have been enough information that he needed. So we should be good.
Yvette, did you have anything else before we move on to the treasurer's report?
Did you have any comments or questions on the building and maintenance projects list? That would be the only other thing.
No, it was good.
I didn't.
No.
Okay.
Was there anything in particular that was unusual?
I don't think so. We moved the desks. That was the big thing, and now getting ready to move. We'll get ready to move the furniture, and Jared is spending a lot of time watering plants that are very beautiful.
Was there a lot of you said there was we needed another electrical outlet or something because of the way computers are moving or no? Okay.
No, they moved it around the existing floor plugs and and that's where the data comes in. So
okay,
it was pretty easy. I mean, I was not there. But it was done before 11 a.m. Everything was done. They were amazing. So,
great.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was just going to say we shouldn't let the director's report go by without acknowledging the nomination that the library received. Do you want to say anything about that, Eva? It's really something to be proud of.
It was very nice to be nominated, and we did not win. But thank you very much for allowing me and Jonathan to go. You know, I've heard reports from Wendy Hunt, who's the president of the chamber. This is the Greater Manchester Sauhegan Valley Chamber of Commerce, that the Merrimack Chamber joined in February. We combined the two chambers. And so I know from meetings on the board with the president of the Sauhegan and now the combined chamber that she worked so hard to pull this event together, and it was lovely. It was just lovely. You know, it was at Hampshire Hills in the back on this kind of, you know, some seating was on the deck, some seating was on this, you know, stone patio, and the tables were small. It was seating for 5. And everyone was required to wear masks when you were not at your table. There were hand sanitizing stations throughout the whole area. The governor was speaking on the lawn at a podium, which, you know, I kind of had obstructed view. I kind of had obstructed view. Our table was served dinner last. So we were eating very quickly while he was starting to talk, so we didn't actually see him. We saw him through the rhododendrons. But it was really, it was fantastic. You know, a lot of people came. I think people had a good time. This was kind of a first big event for the chamber, and seeing, you know, can we do a bigger event, and can people behave properly at a big event, and you know, work under the new normal, and can we have big events under this new normal where people are socially distant and wearing masks and washing their hands. And you know, it was a buffet dinner, which I thought it wasn't going to be. You know, I thought it was going to be, you know, served at the table, but they actually had, you know, one table at a time going, so that was 5 people going, and the servers were doing your plate for you. So you touched nothing except your final plate when you got it. So I thought that was handled well. You know, the decorations were beautiful. You know, it's a nice venue. I had never really been to that venue before.
Well,
so,
it's just congratulations to you and your staff for being acknowledged.
Thank you. Yeah, it was you know, it was nice to be nominated, but the United Way is amazing and they won. and they're amazing. So
You're in good
it's
company.
nice to be in that company. Very nice to be
Right.
recognized. Very good for libraries all over New Hampshire. You know, the governor got a program and knew we were nominees. So I think it was great that we were elevated. I think it's good.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. Good.
Thanks.
Just want to make sure we did not pass by that. Okay.
Okay.
Janet,
Yes.
treasurer's report.
So I saw that you posted a part-time circulation aid, as well as you made a comment in here about staff that were like out last month or something. And then you also made a comment that you didn't want to stay late as well as on Sundays because you don't have staff. Will this part-time circulation help? Is it enough?
So that is a very good question. We had 2 staff out for bereavement, and that was complicated and overlapping. So that was one thing we had to pull in different coverage. I think this is a good conversation to have maybe at the retreat to kind of review, because we changed everything when Arifa was promoted, and I'm kind of not sure where we left it. We still had the 2 circulation positions open because Angela moved to 1, Brett left, you know, and then everything had shut down. You know, and then I don't remember what you had decided about an additional hours at reference, another person at reference. So I think it would be helpful to me to go back at the retreat and have a really good discussion and kind of look at it again. Right now, we've got Megan in a, you know, kind of temporary summer position. Talking to her and Arifa recently, everyone is comfortable, including myself, to actually change her position to not temporary and just make it a regular position like any other staff person where there's no end date. You know, we've posted the position. I have 6 applicants right now. Arifa's on vacation. So, you know, we're just waiting for the, you know, the closing date to happen, which is this Saturday or Friday. And then we're going to start interviews on Zoom. But yeah, I think, you know, it's kind of like, if Megan is in a position that needs to be filled, and if she stays in it, that's fantastic. She, you know, we had put her in as a temporary, but her real life is such that she doesn't need to be temporary for us. She's willing to stay on and be a traditional hire where when she gives her notice, she gives her notice, and that's sometime whenever. And then this other open position is the one that we posted. So that should help a lot once we get that one in, and if we can keep Megan.
Okay.
Okay. So I also know that when Brett and Angela left, you rearranged everybody's hours. Before the retreat, can you update me on their hours?
Yeah, and that's going to change again because we're moving into school. I've asked the department heads to talk to all of their staff to find out, and we don't know what school's going to look like, you know, and we have, not everyone is in Merrimack. It's not going to affect everyone. It's just going to affect people who have maybe they'll have additional responsibilities at home with overseeing schooling. So I hope, I mean, I should have information at the retreat. We all want to make a schedule as soon as possible, and no one has any information solid from any of the schools. So yeah, usually, you know, in the summer, when a season changes, we'll sit down with the staff and say, how do you guys want to move stuff around, you know, for different reasons? And now here we are at another kind of seasonal change.
So before the retreat, maybe you could get an idea with Arafa, with the new changes and services is opening. I mean, it'll only be a week when we meet, but maybe you'll just have some inkling of what you think you need once you kind of look at the big picture moving forward. And how
I hope so. It's very, it's fun. It's great.
Yeah. I was in an organizational meeting about school opening today, so I can, yes, very interesting things. Janice, did you want to say something?
I was wondering, Janet, are you asking because it will end up affecting the numbers somehow?
No, it won't affect the numbers. I was
Which-
curious because, why was I curious? Oh, I was curious mainly because when I saw certain people were out, and then I looked up the circulation aid position on the employment site on the, I saw that it was 15 hours, and then I'm like, okay, so is there a specific position that went to? And then when I pulled up like the budget, there's like all those numbers for any single person specific to circulation don't apply now. So, because they've rearranged the schedule. So, or at least the hours that were specific to, like, let's say Angela, when she was in circ, there was a specific number for her, and it's covered. There's not an issue. It's just trying to just stay on track. That's all.
Well, that's my job, and that's our office job to look at the details. But right now we're only open until 7.
Right.
So their schedules, their actual schedules are, when they come in and it's the shift, but we're not open 10 to 9 yet, so everything had to shift. And then, not so much for circ, but for the other departments, there are some approved responsibilities that staff are doing from home. For example, if they have a program at 7 and the building closes at 7, I mean, it's 8:48 and I'm here alone in the building. And for me, I live down the street, it's not a big deal. And I'd rather have things for the meeting at hand, but for someone running a program for kids from their home, it's further away from the library and they would be here, it doesn't make sense. So that was and it's going to be on Zoom anyway. So we had conversations, each department head with the staff to say, how can we be more flexible for you so that you can continue to do your programs? We're offering these services, but you're not being tied to this weird, program schedule when the building is actually closed and you'd have to be alone. Or we'd have to say, okay, we're going to have 2 people in the building for safety or whatever. So, the schedule shifts because of when do we need people here to do curbside? When do we need people here to process the bags now that the bags are coming in, pulling lists. So it's all catered to what they're doing, what they're doing in the building. So, and it's also like, very adjustable. I know Arifa just asked at the last department heads meeting, which was last week, can we start pickup at 1 o'clock on Mondays instead of 12:30 or 12 on Mondays? Because that's a bag day. That's a day we get a delivery from the van, and there's a lot of bags that have to be also processed. And then someone has the thing that they want to pick up in the bag that we're going to process and put on the shelf. And then, we don't want someone to come back Tuesday because now we open the bags Monday afternoon. So a lot of things that, as other services that kind of intersect with our services, things like the van, as things open up, then we're needing to adjust little things about when are you coming in, when you're not coming in. So, but I know we always look at, what's budgeted for the department, and as long as it's, I just keep saying, you have this in the department, make it work, because it's just a weird time right now, and it's just a weird time when we're doing the best we can, I guess. So yeah. So right now the big question is the school and how schedules are going to shift again. Just expect it.
Yeah.
You know, and then maybe for September, maybe vote on changing Megan's status, because I think we said we would review it in September, but right now it would be fine to change. She's okay with that.
Okay. Janet, does that answer your questions before we move into the treasurer's report?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
Great.
good.
Treasurer's report.
Okay. I'm on the balance sheet. And I'm looking at fines. Make sure I have it. Fines, yep. Fines started with $10,749.44. And we ended July with $9,205.37. And then with special, go back. Hold on. There we go. With special, there we go. There. We started with $32,895.10, and we ended with $18,029.71. Hold on, let me make sure that that's right, because mine goes on to the next page. Nope, I'm wrong. It ended with $17,885.77. I wanted to point out that the money was moved from the $14,245, which we approved back in June, to move from special, and it went to the savings account.
Great.
So that is that. I also have a request of the board. We have 2 Fidelity accounts, one for special and one for fines. And as it is right now, they are up. There's a significant gain. One is up 53% and the other one is up 41%. I would like to take out the gain part and keep the principal that we had in there. So essentially it would be bring them back, both of them back down to the 10,000 that was in there. And here it is. So
How long did it take for those? Is this the gain of a long period of time, or is this
no, they're both short-term gains.
short-term gains?
So one of them, it's 53%, actually it's 53.5%, was actually from October 4th. So from October 4th to today, it's up 53.5%. It's over $17,000. I'd like to move it back down to 10. Just take our gains, keep it in cash, because statistically, I'm going to throw out that word, around now and kind of through October, the market is very volatile. Granted, you can never know what's going to happen, and it's just, they're just in the fall, summer, fallish time, there just tends to be issues or potential issues. This is a 53% gain. I don't want to lose that for 50% gain. Just putting it to cash, keep it there, let it sit there, and just a couple months later, if the market is doing fine, just put it back in.
So you don't want to take it out and move it into one of our other accounts to be used?
No, I want to keep it in Fidelity. I just don't want it in this mutual fund. I just want to put it into its cash account, keep it there, keep it in Fidelity for a later date to invest again. But in less than 10 months, we have a 53% gain, and we can leave it there. I mean, it's just going to sit there, and it could grow more, or it could fall, obviously.
I mean, I'm a fan of, if you feel like you've made a profit, know when to cut your losses, and you can't look back and say, or cut your winnings, I should say, and you can't look back and say, oh, if we had left it, we would have gotten more. We have to just be like, okay, we know the risk that it could go up, but we're happy with the amount we have there and setting it aside. So I personally don't have a problem with it, but I'm opening it up for discussion if anyone has thoughts.
Exactly.
Karen, do you have something you wanted to say? Karen.
Well, I agree that things are going to be very volatile, and that it's more likely, in my personal point of view, that having made a big gain, protecting it, knowing that it's going to go back in regardless of what happens, I think that's sensible for the library. That sounds reasonable to me.
Now, having said that, Karen,
Do you have any thoughts? No. I'm sorry, Janice or Sahini, thoughts, questions, opinions that you'd like to share?
I guess it'll just be for note-taking purposes. I just want to make sure I word this right, but I can ask you about that later, Janet.
Oh, sure. I do have a question. Would you as in the board, be more comfortable in taking everything out given this time period, or just our gains?
I'm fine with the gains.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Sahini, what are your thoughts?
Only the gains. Just keep
Okay.
it as it is, like whatever is there. But just take the gains part of it, because that may take a while to again come back. Looking at the situation right now. What I feel, I'm not such a money person, but yeah, right now, like whatever is there, just if there is the profit part, take that part out.
Okay.
Janet, would you like to make a motion for?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to sell I guess I'm just not sure how to word it, because
do you want to sell, or do you want to take the profit?
Well, I still have to sell. It will still go into the money market, but it's I have to like right now there's $17,016.25 in what's fines. I want to bring it down to 10.
Right. So you do need to sell those shares.
Right. I need to sell those shares, but the problem is like I need to sell. I don't know how many shares that is. It's more like I would just say, I want to sell $7,016.25. So
of shares.
Yes, or say that you would like to sell shares. You would like to sell the necessary shares.
There you go.
Back to around the principal amount, which was $10,000.
$10,000.
It might be $995. You know that when you do this, to be like. So, okay. So for Janice, can you clarify what I just said? What is the motion?
Well, you said, let me see if I can do it. Janet moved to sell the necessary shares to bring the principal back to $10,000?
Yes, that's exactly what I want to do.
And you add approximately $10,000 because it might not be exact, because when you sell a share, it could be, up, down, a little bit, a little less.
Okay.
It might, a share might not be exactly worth that rounded up. So
right. And
okay, I will second that motion. Or you want to do all of them together?
No, we can do them separate because that's
Okay.
fines.
Okay, so I'm going to second that motion that Janet made. And I'm going to vote yes in favor of that. Karen,
Yes.
Janice,
Yes.
Sohini,
Yes.
and Janet.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So that's for the fines account. Then you wanted to do something similar for the special?
For the special, that one is actually at $18,134.10. And I want to do the same thing. I want to bring that down to 10,000. And again, the money is still there. It's
Right.
still, it's just gonna be in a money market. It won't be invested. So the 8,000 is our gain. And then basically, because I don't know what the market's gonna do, I'd rather keep our gain.
Karen,
Should we amend the last motion as well as include in this one to be revisited about to transfer the money back, say in October or December, or what? I mean, that it's not that money is not going to stay in the money market.
Right.
Going to be.
We could keep it as an action item that just says like in October or November or December, or just to reinvestigate the Fidelity money market accounts.
Okay.
okay. So Janet, you wanted to make a similar motion to
Yes,
move?
for the special money. So I want to sell shares to bring this special down to approximately $10,000.
Okay.
Do you have to say in the motion where the money's going? Like you're saying it's going to this money market account. Do I have to include that? And
I guess I would, because it tells you that it's staying within Fidelity. It's not getting transferred anyplace else. And we're not buying anything else.
So add that it will be going into the money market, Fidelity money market account. It's actually, I don't even know if it's just like a cash line.
It's a cash account, exactly. But they just call it a money market.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
so it could be Janet moved to sell the necessary shares to bring the principal to approximately $10,000 and the gain to go to the money market account.
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. Do we have a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, either one.
Okay. I will vote in favor. Yes. Karen,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Janice,
Yes.
and Sohini.
Yes.
Great. Thank you for keeping an eye on that. Janet, that passes, obviously 500. Thank you for keeping an eye on that. It's just wise. We're not money trying to make a profit, but when we do make it, we certainly want to be good stewards of that money. So,
Yeah.
okay. What else for the treasurer's report?
I think that's it. I don't,
Okay.
yeah, nope.
Great. Thank you. We have acceptance of minutes. We had 2 meetings, which anybody who went through the evaluation process and budget process will know that 2 sets of minutes to approve feels really light and airy, right? So the first meeting was the first minutes rather are from July 21st, 2020. Are there any corrections or points of concern?
I do.
Okay.
And it was more for clarification. So under what section? It's under old business D, additions to museum passes.
Oh, yeah.
It says purchase of passes to the Silver Knights has been put off until next year.
They're not playing.
True, but it's, we already sent them money. So it's, we've already purchased them. So when I read that, I was a little confused.
That's great, because I don't think I put two and two together, so I'm happy to reword that.
Okay.
No, I think it's more due to the closing of the baseball season and COVID, that passes that were purchased for the 2020 season will be used for the 2021 season.
Right.
Could even be just reversed. The passes that were purchased will be used next year or something like
Right.
that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other concerns?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay, then I make a motion that we accept the July 21st, 2020 meeting minutes with the correction.
I'll second.
Thank you, Janet. I vote yes. Janet,
Yes.
Janice,
Yes.
Sohini,
Yes.
and Karen.
Yes.
Thank you. So that passes 5-0-0. We have the special public meeting minutes from the August 11th meeting where we discussed the award and the purchasing of tickets. Did anyone have any corrections or concerns about that? Okay, seeing none, I will make a motion that we accept the August 11th, 2020 special public meeting minutes. Come on, Sohini, second me. So I haven't had Sohini second anything. Come on. Oh, Karen got in there first. Okay, Karen seconded it. Okay, I vote yes. Janet?
Yes.
Janice?
Yes.
Sohini?
Yes.
And Karen.
Yeah.
Awesome. Janice, did you want to say something?
Yes. Being new to being the secretary, I have a question for Yvette. I know that the meeting minutes end up on the library website. Do I just get them to you? Like I would type on them if they were accepted, whenever they were accepted, and then do I forward them to you?
Well, I don't know which, I don't know. You should send me a draft of the minutes, like from this meeting. I think it's within 5 days. And I could post the draft on the website. Finished meeting minutes, that are approved, send them to me and I put them on the website. Okay. Whenever you send me minutes, I'll put them on the website. But
because I know I haven't been, so I just wanted to make sure I start doing that.
Yeah, I have to usually track them down. Like Karen is, I'm always like, hey, did you send me this, or did I, and I always go through it, and then we end up figuring it out, and,
So I don't keep everyone talking about this. Is it okay with everyone if I just get together with Yvette and just clarify how I should do it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm one of these people. I need a list. So if you don't mind, Yvette, I'll just email with you or something.
Sure.
Totally makes sense. Okay. Thank you, Janice. Great. So that was the acceptance of minutes. Committee updates. The Building Exploratory Committee did not meet. Did the Friends of the Merrimack Public Library meet? No? Okay. The Merrimack Public Library Development Fund Committee, we met via Zoom, and really what came out of it was what Yvette already addressed. The ARFA really has the brick situation under control and is on top of it and managing it really nicely for the development fund. So what a lovely group of people involved in that committee, and ARFA is doing a great job. So Town Center Committee.
Not till next month.
Great. Okay.
September.
Thank you. Library Board of Trustee committees. Have any of the committees met? Personnel, building, or finance? No? No?
No.
Okay. All right. So we're to review August's action items. I will tell you what I have made note of. So far, I have that it's not necessarily an action item, but we have tentatively scheduled our retreat for September 12th at 8:30 at the library. that Yvette is going to check with the Public Works Department to see if they're able to dig the posts for the granite sign. That it's an outstanding action item, but that we will review the Fidelity money market accounts and investments sometime. I would go so far as just to say like December, post-election, post like the fall, perhaps would be a good time to review it. Janet, but we'll take your guidance under when you would like to look at that. I'm sure you'll be right on top of it. You'll let us know. Look at it. I don't worry about that at all.
Yeah.
What are the any other action items that we?
Are you saying specifically December?
Why don't we say in the fall/winter?
Okay.
What else do we have for action items? Those are, Janet's going to sell the shares. So that's an action item. Anything else? Maybe we could just add, Yvette, just I'm sure you've made note of it, but that you'll let us know what staffing concerns are, if there's need for shifting and hiring and whatnot, once things start rolling out more with services. So great. Is there anything else? Anything else for the board? Any other action items?
What is something, is there anything that comes up in September regularly that we need to think about?
Book sale, not happening, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
It's usually the turkey shoot, book sale. I don't give you a list of holidays until maybe October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Everything is just very fluid and flexible right now, right? So, okay, great. So if there's no other business, then I would make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, great. In a second, we'll do a roll call. I vote in favor. Karen?
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Can I jump back for a second?
Yeah, of course.
In the course of all the rest of our meeting, it suddenly realized that I voted no on something and I didn't actually give a reason for voting no. I don't want to make people uncomfortable about that. I did have a reason.
It is up to you if you would like to express your concern. Yeah. We're more than happy to hear from it, but you are certainly, any trustee is may vote no at any time without feeling they need to explain themselves. But if you'd like to, by all means.
Well, I did have a reason, and it's just, I just don't feel comfortable myself seeing the library open at this time. And so I voted my conscience, if you will.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Sure.
Are there any measures that we are not putting in place that would make you more comfortable?
No, they are not measures that are in your control. I just think in general, my feeling is that the schools are moving too fast. Other things are moving too fast. It's just a personal, I think you guys are doing great at however you're going to, do that reopening, but I just feel like everyone's moving too fast.
Okay, we'll be careful.
That's not it's a comfort thing.
No, I
understand. It's not that I don't think you'll be careful. It's just, I'm being very cautious.
Okay.
Well, and I have faith that Yvette, if circumstances change, the board would reconvene.
Certainly.
And always pull back services, right?
Certainly.
If we find that things, don't.
It's just my personal feeling of I'm not comfortable. I don't think anyone's not doing what they need to do, trying to be as safe as possible. I'm not ready.
We're gonna keep up all of the remote and curbside services. So we're gonna work really hard to try and serve people who are not comfortable to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
absolutely.
I want curbside forever. I want curbside forever. I don't want curbside
I like service.
I know we're spoiled. We're so spoiled now. I know, I love it.
I guess I would
you know,
say,
Maybe the staff should try roller skates, you know, like.
Right.
that's just Angela, and that's just her. She's roller skated for years, and now she's not in Cirque, so she's not
That's
roller
fine.
skating.
But I do just want to say, Janice, like, and to all the trustees, you know, it's normal for a board not to agree, right? That's why we have votes. So if there is ever a time when you don't agree, and no is completely an option, and you may choose to explain yourself or not, that is not necessary. We certainly would like to all be in agreement, but everybody has a right to their opinion. That's why we have 5 people. So there's not just one person deciding.
right. I just felt like I should express why. I didn't want it to just be amorphous. And then it gave Yvette an opportunity to ask me other questions. And again, I will just come back to, in general, I think the country is moving too fast. It really has nothing to do with procedures put in place. I want to see the numbers, you know, not go crazy in the fall. So I would just feel more comfortable not having people in the building, but you know, the majority will rule, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, can I just make a comment also? I mean, there's a board of 5, and you know, the board should represent the voters. The board should represent the residents. So, you know, we have, you know, this percentage, what, 20% of the board does not want to open. That means 20% of the residents, you know, I mean, that it should represent our town. So it's great. You know, I mean, it's a positive thing that you're saying no, because you know, as the librarian, and as the board members, this is alerting us to how people are going to respond to our moves as we move into the next phase. This should be what we see. You know, that some people are going to say, no, thanks. I'd love my curbside, you know, and other people are going to be like, oh, good. I can't wait to get in and touch all the books and use the bathroom, you know, and stuff like that. So, and our staff is the same way. Everyone we talk about this a lot in department heads. The staff has all different levels of comfort with coming into the building. So the next phase of allowing people into our bubble, that's a big step for a lot of people, you know, and we'll find out in a couple weeks how the staff really, you know, once you experience it, you know, we'll see what happens, you know, but they said they're ready. It's different when someone shows up. You know? It's like the first moving into college, it's like, oh yeah, I'm ready to go, Mom. And then you move in and you're like, I miss you so much. Right, Deb?
He's dying to get out of here. We already moved some distance. It was in 2 weeks. So
yeah,
it's been a nice 6 months. So it really has been. I've loved having everybody here. So great. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to have that conversation. It's an important conversation and not one that we should just dismiss, but we should definitely be hearing everybody's concerns. To your 20% point, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the number of people who keep their kids out to do remote teaching as well. Like, I think that is definitely something that we're going to see reflected as we move forward. So.
Yeah.
Okay, well, with that, is there anything else before I make a motion to adjourn?
Sorry.
No, please don't apologize. Nope, that was good. Okay, well, I will make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 9:19. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Janet. I vote in favor. Janet? Sahini?
Yes.
Thank you. Janice?
Yes.
And Karen?
Yep.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Yvette. We will all be in touch. Put the 12th on your calendar. If something comes up, by all means, just let us know and we'll work around it. Okay, great. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.